Good afternoon everybody and a very warm welcome to Mildenhall, and today I have a layout update for you, and it includes, what does it include? A lot of work, that's what it includes. Basically I've cracked on with the layout over the last few days as I've had a bit of a moment of inspiration about 3 or 4 days ago. And I've basically took that inspirational moment and kind of went and legged it with it. Because of the fact that I'm also housebound at the moment, unfortunately I've got a real bad back and a bad shoulder too to kind of boot. That was just an ongoing thing from a few years back over an accident I had a number of years ago, and that flares up from time to time, and at the moment it's just giving me a load of jip. But it just means that the medication I'm currently on means that I can't actually do any work. I can't do any work. I can't do any work because I can't actually drive. So it's just meant that I've just been cracking on with the layout here at home, and lucky for me it's not in the loft or in the shed or anything like that. It's just literally to hand, so I just do bits and pieces with it, and pick at it and all the rest of it. So before we start, some of you can probably see in the background actually that things have moved and changed. But I wanted to show you, I'm going to start off with Alan from Dragon Junction. And he kindly gave me some time ago a big box, massive box, with all these bits and pieces in it, including some of the buildings. And some of you are probably thinking, yeah, I know you've mentioned this a few times and all the rest of it, but I've actually progressed with some of the items that were in that box. So this was I'll show you one of the buildings that I've actually just done I think I've done this one over the weekend actually, last week. But basically I've given this a bit of a paint job and tidied it up so it doesn't look so plasticky. And the roof's been painted up in a grey. It was kind of like a tile red, I think it was, and the brickwork was like a magnolia. And so that is one of the buildings of his that I've actually been working on. There's another actually building that's on the layout which has actually been done as well, which I will get to shortly. So I'm just going to show you the layout in a few moments. One of the other things I wanted to talk to you about is, excuse me for a moment whilst I just put that over there, is also a little while ago I received a parcel from Mike Britton. I think it's from Chapel Model Railway or Chapel Hill Model Railway. Forgive me if I'm wrong, Mike. And I've had time to sort of have a good look through the photographs that he gave me. And not only did he give me photographs, he gave me a couple of canopies. And I think I've worked out what I'm going to do with the canopies. As far as the photographs are concerned, as I delved into them, and I was just completely, well, yeah, they were just absolutely amazing photographs, they really were. So much so that I'm going to be blowing a few of those up and actually putting them on my wall. And the quality of the photographs was actually superb. And some of the images and the way the images were captured, it was just absolutely gorgeous. And on top of that, on the back of each and every photograph, there was actually a detailed description of where the photograph was taken, what the loco was, whereabouts, the route and the time. So it gave you all that information. So it really gave you a real picture of picture of history, as it were, of these photographs. And some of the photographs were just absolutely blew me away. So I've looked into going to the printers, which I've done already. I've spoken to the printers about getting them done. So we're going to think about getting a few of those choice photographs blown up and maybe the rest mounted as a collage, and we'll probably do something like that. As far as the canopies is concerned, we'll get on when we get on with the station. So that's what we'll be doing. But let me just turn you around and I'll start talking you through what I've been up to with the layout. So over the last few days, I've been actually, before I get onto that, let's just focus onto that building in the middle there. So we'll just try and, there we go. Well, that was nice and simple that time. Hopefully we can come out. So this building here was another building that was given to me as a flat pack from Alan. It was part of the box that he gave me. So I've built this kit, and I have to say, it was a right pain in the neck to build. It really was. It really was a horrible kit to put together. And I was very daunted about doing the super quick kit, and quite frankly, I was kind of right. I haven't been so frustrated with a kit since I put together my nuclear flask terminal crane, which literally came with no instructions. This one was just absolute nightmare. This thing was. It was such a complete hash and a bodge job. I mean, the instructions didn't fit properly. The parts didn't fit properly. The roof got damaged, so I've had to replace the roof. I mean, luckily I had some roofing tile paper from my Behringer build, and I used that to recover the roof because that got completely messed up. But as it turns out, I'm actually quite happy with the way it's actually finished. So for all the kind of hassle and grief I've had with it, it's actually it's actually come out all right. I'm not sure how old super quick kits are. I think they've been around for a very, very long time, and I think they've probably been around a lot more than Metcalfe kits, which probably it's probably why Metcalfe kits probably go together better than these super quick kits. There's a lot of messing around with this kit. It really was. And at one point I was going to throw it out the window because it was just really irritating me. However, I'm glad I salvaged it, and it actually looks half decent. And one of the reasons for putting it together, because I needed to know what the footprint is and where I was going to put everything. So if I zoom you back out, yay. Okay, so we're here at the far end, and I've decided, as you can see, to do the mapping of the road system. And if we just sort of go to the far left, you can see that's where it all starts, and that's where it goes off the board. And so that's basically the entrance and exit to the layout for the road vehicles. And then, as you can probably see as we go around, I've been mapping out all the various sections of the layout. And it has been a bit of a labour of love, to be honest with you. It's taken me a long, long time to get this far, because basically, if I just zoom in, you can see that this is all matchsticks. Carefully laid matchsticks. They're all glued in place now, I should say. So what I've been doing is, if I show you one of my vehicles, all the rest of them are over there, but this one here, the lorry, because it's like my biggest vehicle, that was one that I really wanted to use. And also I used also some of my buses, because I kind of knew what I wanted to do, and so therefore everything just kind of followed in sequence. And I'll just sort of give you a bit of an example there. Where the station platform is right at the very back, you can see there, that's right at the very back, that's where the buses are going to go, all the way along that line. In the middle there's a wider section, which is the main road. So the buses will basically, if you sort of follow the bus route, they'd come across the bridge. So if it's a bit fast, it's kind of zooming in and out, then it's settled down. Drop down, and then when it drops down, instead of coming down where the lorry is, down this road, it will just go off across the station front, and it will go across the back where the platform is and stop along the back edge there where all the bus stops will be and the coach stops. When the bus is ready to leave, it will go around the roundabout right down the end there, as you can probably see, come round, back down the main road, and then follow the route all the way back out. Now, where that black car is just there, that's all the car parking area there is. And I've also added a path just there, just behind that. And like I said, the buses will go back out in the same way they came in. Now here, you have Alan's garage. And actually, believe it or not, there is actually an Alan's garage on one of my bus routes. But basically, to go to the garage, you just come back down here, and then you turn in there and go into the garage. Now, I've used this lorry here to make that turn because I want to get a BP tanker, so I can use it as like it's coming in to fill up the under-storage pumps, tanks for the 2 pumps. So basically, what I've been doing is I've basically been driving and playing cars and lorries, and with the buses to try and work out the overhangs, the swinging circles, the turning circles of the buses and of the lorries to make sure that they can get around it. And based on their turning circles, will determine the width of the roundabout, which is how I came to that width of the roundabout down there. Because I literally drove a bus, well, not drove a bus, but I played with my bus and spun it around and tried to see just how much of a turning circle it needed to get around that roundabout, and that kind of gave me the width that I needed. Also, the width for the main road is 9 centimetres. According to HO, I think it is, or OO, I think it's HO. I saw them on the back of one of the Scenics packets. It was like 7 centimetres. And I tried that 7 centimetres before at Ringwood South, and it was too tight because it doesn't allow for the passing of 2 big vehicles like a lorry and a bus coming in the other direction. So bearing that in mind, that kind of gave me the kind of mapping of the road, as it were, because I could just, once I draw one line, which is like, say, the top line of the road there, I just had to measure 9 centimetres across, and then that will bring the end of the road, that bit, and then I can then basically use that as a datum point to then work out the rest, as it were. As far as this bit is concerned, the front bit, what I've done now is we're not going to be putting the train care depot here anymore. And that was my moment of inspiration, actually, because I remembered many years ago when I had Behringer, and some of my longer viewers will probably remember Behringer very well, that before I took it down, the plan was to build a container terminal called Vollmer. So we're bringing Vollmer back. Vollmer's coming back now, and it's coming and being reincarnated into this layout. So basically, the sidings that are there, which I've been using for just storage of trains, is now going to be for the container terminal. And I'm going to build a separate fill yard at some point. I'm not sure when that's going to be now because of all the issues that I've got with my back and shoulder. But like I said, at some point there will be a fill yard built on wheels, which I can then just pull away, and I could just sort of plug it in when I need to. And I'm going to make this into a container terminal. And again, what I've done is I've played with the lorries here, and I've marked it all out. And let me just get you closer in. So that was my old Batman. That was my old Batman sort of hut that I had before, but I've repainted that into Freightliner green. I've parked that lorry up there. Forgive me if you can hear the neighbours. So bear with me a minute, and I'll just go shut the window. There you go. That should sort of muffle them a bit. So basically, I've put that cabin there and that lorry there, and I don't know if you can see, but there's actually a little dotted line just in front of the lorry. If I can find my finger, there it is. There's a little dotted line just there. So that'll be the entrance. That'll be the gates, and then that way, the back end of the lorry won't be in the way for anyone wanting to go to the petrol station. And then basically, we have where the lorry can pull in. We're going to have the storage for the containers on that rectangular piece just behind the car park. So that whole rectangular piece just along the back, that will be for the storage of containers. And I've also got the tracks which I've made, and that will be so that the crane can sit inside those tracks, and those are like guides, so the crane can effectively move up and down across the layout, although it's just for show because it isn't actually a motorised crane or anything like that. So that's what we're going to be doing with that. But the reason why all the matchsticks are out is so I can fill the road. So all of this is going to be covered in filler. So I'm not going to be, some people use Metcalf, some people use the fallow road system and everything. There's not going to be no fallow road system or anything like that here. But I am going to do it. I am going to actually use filler to do the whole of the area that you can see here. So it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think the overall result will be very good once it's finished. And like I said, I'm just working on that as a module just over there. I'm thinking that on this back wall here, I'm probably going to carry on that back wall around, but I'm not entirely certain yet. And also I had some girder strips from when I made my scratch build over at Ringwood South just on the bridge, just there. And there's one on the other side, and I've also braced it across, and that will stop that stops the bridge from sort of warping. It's giving it its rigidity. So that's where we're at with that at the moment as well. So a lot's been achieved. I mean, it's been a real, just like the building you see in front of you, the matchsticks has been a real kind of, I guess, like I said, labour of love. It's really taken a long time. It's just doing a few, well, not even an hour. It's just like half an hour here and break, half an hour there, because that's all you can do because you just get so bored. But I think the end result is going to be worth it, because I now have kind of got a visual reference as to where everything's going. So that little bit there, that little strip in the middle there is just like some greenery. Where the pub is also going to be some greenery, but there's a car in there. So I'm just going to make a car park in there somewhere and then fill the rest out with greenery. So I've kind of mapped it all out. And what I wanted to do is basically on this corner, I just wanted to hide some of the sharp corners. I mean, I know it doesn't completely hide it, but just disguise it a bit. And so it doesn't look like just like a train set, an overall train set, which, like I said, that's, it is effectively a train set, and I don't mind it in that sense. But I kind of call it a train set plus, really, because it's just a bit more than that. At least I'm trying to make it into a half decent model anyway, and nothing against anybody who has anything like that, because for me, it's like everyone's got their own ideas of what they'd like out of their layout, and this is just what I'd like to do with mine. So please don't take any offences to my comments at all, because it's like I said, I respect everyone's individuality in terms of how they build their layouts. But the actual layout of the track work is actually exactly the same as it was before. The only thing I've got to start doing, especially in the boundary here, there's also a boundary here, right at the front here, there's a line there, there's a matchstick line. So that's the boundary between the container terminal and the main running lines. So all of those little bits now, those gaps have to be all filled in, all those infills, all the sleepers there that are missing. So when I come to do the, when I come to do the filling, it's just going to be easier. It's done then. So that's what I'm going to do. One of the other things is I've been running some trains that I haven't normally been running. One of the ones that I have been running is, if I just bring round, yeah, we'll bring round that 20. I don't know if I told you this, but that car in the middle, the kitchen car I bought, I've replaced because it was a bit wonky. I can't remember if I told you that, but I'll tell you anyway. So I've done that, and there we go. Let's just have another little look, see. So as you can sort of see, it's been really mapped out. I've also got a new locomotive. It's one that I've been eyeing up for a long time, but I haven't got a chip for it yet. So I'm just not really running it at the moment because I only got it, it only arrived this morning. So let's see, what does that say? Alright, so I need to get my Mark III coaches out because I need to test the clearance around the corners there. But basically that's how it's going to work out. I just wanted to disguise this corner here a bit. So, a lot's been done. This has been a real kind of job that's consumed a lot of time. But like I said, I think the end result will be well worth it once it's done. And my train has for some reason gone into the middle lane, into the middle track. So let's just make sure that that's okay so we don't have any derailments and any my DMU, I must have forgot to switch a point, but it's ended up in the middle. See, this is what happens when I don't concentrate. But yeah, I've got my class 20 here. I wasn't sure, because it's been such a long time since I've run this thing, I wasn't sure if I had to actually put a chip in it. But luckily it has got a chip and it runs quite nicely, so yeah. So thank you for joining me this afternoon, and until the next time, it's goodbye from Mildenhall. And like I said, next time hopefully I'll be firing on all cylinders. So until then, it's goodbye from Mildenhall, and I hope you've enjoyed what you saw. So bye for now. Bye bye.